And then Allah sends messages from out here sends messages from light in its absolute state to particles, sends messages to atoms, sends messages to molecules, sends messages to biological life, directing all of them to go through these various stages. And it's like Allah has a template or this plan that He wants to unfold. And He makes sure that the plan unfolds according to His will. And the plan is to end up with a world like we have, a physical world, where Adam and Adam's descendants, us as the children of Adam, can have the opportunity to, by choice, continue along this path back to perfection of soul. And now here we get into, of course, a point that could be a very delicate point. What does Allah really want here? Because also here we have paradise. But also we have Do you think I'm correct in putting hellfire outside of the spirit world? Well, what is your interpretation of where hellfire is? In the spirit world or outside the spirit world? Okay, I'm going to tell you that I think scholarly opinion is hellfire is outside the spiritual existence. That it is actually in the physical realm. Whether it is the physical realm we know of or not, I'm not sure. So, Allah up here creates souls. And souls probably souls virtually infinite in number. And for His purpose, which He said to the angels, because I know what you do not know, it is necessary that these souls choose to perfect themselves, as opposed to be like the angels, which are perfected by Allah. That Allah then drops the soul, or the potential for soul, out of the spiritual world, or the absolute realm of existence, into the relative world of existence, and then has it go through these stages with the goal of coming back to paradise perfected by choice. So He gives us the option of, in the physical world, perfecting our soul by choice. Or we can go to here, or we can go to here. Usually, hellfire is presented as a punishment. Sometimes it is even said to be eternal punishment. But I think Allah has made it extremely clear that unless you have committed shirk, that no matter what sin you have committed, it will eventually be forgiven and you will be given entry into paradise. Now, personally, I think that when I look at the way Allah works and I look at the level of His mercy and I look at this process that He is doing, that for some reason or other, He wants perfected souls that have perfected themselves by choice. And He allows us that possibility. But if we do not choose to perfect ourselves by choice, we go to hellfire. And we don't go to hellfire so He can punish us for what we have done wrong. This does not seem to be the way that Allah works. I would say it is much more likely that hellfire is like a finishing process. That for those of us who do not reach a level of spiritual perfection to be allowed to enter paradise, that we have to go through a cleansing process. And that cleansing process is also a process of progression. The whole, from the beginning of the universe until we get back to paradise, the whole thing is really a period of progression. And if we don't make that progression by our choice, Allah, rather than throw our soul away or destroy our soul or just let our soul exist in punishment forever, I think puts us in what we would call hellfire, and we finish the perfection of our soul there. And once we finish the perfection of our soul in hellfire, we are then allowed entry into paradise as a perfected soul. But you don't get into paradise unless you are a perfected soul. And it looks like there are two ways to be a perfected soul. You can do it the easy way or the hard way. The easy way is to just go ahead and be Khalifa of Allah and do what Allah has told us and follow the path. Or you cannot do that and take the path through hellfire, whatever exactly that means. Then when we get to what paradise is, the question is, do we do all of this? You know, as Allah spent these billions of years and created Adam to be His Khalifa and given us the role of perfecting our soul by choice, so we can end up in paradise just sitting around enjoying ourselves and being really good. See, I think there is more to it than that. So here I'm going to really go out on the limb in making a hypothesis. That when Allah says He is creating us to be His Khalifa, that He is not only creating us to be His Khalifa in the physical existence, but the reason He wants us to perfect our soul is so we would be perfect by our choice. And so in the spirit world, He also has tasks for us to fulfill. But this task can only be filled by a being which is perfectly good by their choice. And I know this terminology is a bit uncomfortable with people, but it is, you know, one of the reasons we are told that Allah has created us is so that we can know Him. And I think knowing Him is not just so we can get to the point where we say, oh, I know that Allah exists, or I know that God exists. That to know Him is to have had the unbelievably wonderful opportunity to share in the nature of His Godhood. Not to be God at all, right? Please don't anyone think that I am saying that Allah is creating us to be good, to be God. But that by being His Khalifa,